Funny that Nicole would hire someone who can't even get an Amiga to do what an Amiga is supposed to do. That's so weird. Where was I? So, I get mixed up with these wonderful folks over at Otoy. We start doing all these R&D objectives. We have me wear a digital prosthesis of my own face to see how convincing it is. We de-age me about 15 years, and we just start doing all these silly things, and then you know, because it's the Roddenberry Archive, and because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and Jules is a huge Star Trek fan, and Rod Roddenberry's a huge Star Trek fan, we start doing these mission objectives about how we can recreate sort of the pop culture historical version of these extraordinary characters. And so yeah, Jules was like, Leonard, I'm kind of in the middle of something here, buddy. Come in. What are you doing? Every time I stream, guys, I swear to God, he's like, hey, what's the deal? I'm like, I'm streaming. He's like, yeah, but what's the deal? Hold on, I'll be right back. I'm going to get him to the tree. Stand by. What are you doing? What's it? Okay, wait. Tanner? Good, Sid. Awesome. Here you go. And Walter, you turn. Good turn. That's a very good guy. Okay. Leonard has been on a 6-mile walk today. They've been all over the place today. So no, Leonard is, you know how he is. He's like, what's the deal? Pay attention to me. Anyway, so we did a bunch of R&D to sort of prove out what we thought we could do, and then we presented it to William Shatner, and asked if it would be okay if we could do this. And to our extraordinary shock and surprise, he agreed. And came on as an executive producer. So that is what we did. That is what we did. Here, there's what is this? There's a picture of me and Clay, and Carlos. Carlos is the guy on the right, it's the director. Guy on the left is Clay. And Clay is not only a sculptor and visual effects genius, but he's also an athlete. So Clay became, you know, sort of my de facto movement coach on set, to really try to create Shatner, you know. So, how far off is this project from release? It's in the past. It was released yesterday, very quietly, but it seems to be doing quite well. I don't know if I still have that link. I just sent because my computer
I'll take that paper.
Reset. Stand by. See if I can find it for you.
That's all you got?
Dear God, my computer is losing its mind. Where are you? Yes. No, it is not. I am so good at this. Yeah, so for anyone that hasn't seen the piece, here we go.
OTS for life, bitch.
It's better on the television. Oh, guys, also turn off the setting on YouTube, stable volume. Stable volume is a mix killer. We got David Collins and Skywalker Sound to come on board. We got Michael Giacchino to do our soundtrack. You hear the London Symphony Orchestra. Stable volume is just makes mincemeat of all of that extraordinary work. So turn off stable volume on YouTube. Yeah, you want the full dynamic range. You really do. But yes, this is something that we've kind of released quietly and hopefully with a good deal of sensitivity. But you know, it's a 7 or 8 minute Star Trek adventure. Starring Captain Kirk. And again, I'm endlessly grateful to Bill Shatner, and I hope he feels like I captured his nuances. I mean, I spent endless months with all kinds of his movies, not just Star Trek, on rotation, listening to him reading his books, his autobiographies, and trying to understand how he would have approached, and how he did approach, and how he does approach his roles, so that I could attempt to, you know, to recreate him, try to do what perhaps he would have done if he was on set. That was the task. You know, the idea is, if I was successful, that you know, you wouldn't see any trace of me in the performance. That it would literally be him. You know, that was the whole goal. And you know, I suppose the reason why we feel this is important is, look, you know, Chris Pine and Paul Wesley, another vampire, respect. Their explorations of different versions of Captain Kirk is totally worthy. We have to continue doing that. We have to go off and have different interpretations of characters. But because we are the Roddenberry Archive, we feel it is important, perhaps very important, key, in fact, to what we are doing, to honor the pop culture version of this character, the character that persisted through the Civil Rights Movement and, you know, Vietnam War, the Cold War, all of these events. Captain Kirk is a fixture throughout all of these, and it's very specifically the Bill Shatner version of Captain Kirk.
You don't need it now.
So for us, we approached Captain Kirk. I approached Captain Kirk playing him as if he was a historical figure, as if I was playing, I don't know, Winston Churchill, and that I would study everything that about the man and take it as seriously as if he was a living pop culture icon, because in many respects he is. He's Captain Kirk, for God's sakes. The Bill Shatner Captain Kirk is its own thing. Paul Wesley, Chris Pine, keep doing your thing. That is a different thing. That's amazing. I've enjoyed the hell out of it. But from the Roddenberry Archives perspective, it's worth exploring the original pop culture icon. So hopefully people feel we did him justice. Again, I studied every facial technique of this guy to try to create something that felt authentic. So yeah. Anyway, I'm so glad you enjoyed today's go. Thank you very much. We really loved making that.
I like to share too. Thank you.
So yeah, the Star Killer show tomorrow. We're gonna. You know, it's funny. Speaking of Star Killer, you know, it's like we have the ability now, technically, especially with Otoy. Thank you, Kenzie. I really appreciate it. We have the ability with Otoy that should we ever go back to Force Unleashed, and I need to look about 20, we've already done it. We know how to do it. So if we ever wanted to go back to Star Killer, they don't necessarily have to recast me because we can present them with all of the information to utterly recreate me at that age. So it's really cool. But you know, the important thing is, all of these technological things, it was important to claim the ground for actors. To stake a claim and say, no, you need actors to drive this process and to be opinionated in driving this process, and to help create the methodology by which we go after these mission objectives. And so, thankfully Jules and Clay and all of them, they understood what I was saying. And so, they just kind of let me invent mission objectives. Piece by piece, we built up the ability to create James T. Kirk. Hopefully with the utmost respect. And again, I want to point out that Bill Shatner is the reason that character works. And that character, specifically, Bill's version, is the reason we have Star Trek. And I think that the pilot, The Cage, proves that. I don't know if you guys know the whole history of Star Trek, but there was an original pilot called The Cage, in which the captain was played by an actor named Jeffrey Hunter. He played Captain Pike. And it's a fantastic performance. Jeffrey Hunter played an extremely credible, interesting character, Captain Pike. And you watch that pilot, and that pilot didn't sell, but it intrigued the network, it intrigued NBC, so they commissioned a second pilot. Jeffrey Hunter then decided he didn't want to do a series, or I think his wife decided, someone decided, that they weren't going to do that. And so they had to recast the lead. And William Shatner, The Cage is remarkable, it's extraordinary. But then William Shatner comes up, and Captain Pike, for example, Captain Pike would sit in his chair and he might say, hard to port, like they've done it a million times, and he's a professional, he really knows what's going on. It's very credible, hard to port, take us to warp, all this stuff, whatever you would say. A time warp factor 7, or whatever it's. Bill Shatner's take on what the captain should be was more immediate. That if he were to say, hard to port, he'd perform it in a way that he didn't know until he said it, that we must go hard to port. He added an immediacy to the character. Hard to port, warp drive now, which added a great deal of excitement. The character is discovering on the breath that whatever he's commanding, it needs to be done, which adds a real sense of, oh my God, what's happening? And this guy's reacting to a situation, And then he also brought to Star Trek something that was utterly not there in the Cage pilot, which was a sense of humor. He came in with a twinkle in the eye and a sense of energy. Jeffrey Hunter, great performance. Very internal, a little bit broody. Not unlike some of my performances, like very, very broody, very serious, internal. And Leonard Nimoy, who was playing Spock, saw that Jeffrey Hunter was being very internal like this. So Leonard Nimoy played his Spock like this, yelling out his orders and, being very energetic. Then when Bill Shatner showed up, he saw the energy, humor, twinkling, charm, it allowed Nimoy to go, oh, I'm going to be the internal one. I'll be minimal. Yes, Captain, you understand? I will be that, to play off Bill's extraordinary energy. And when you get those two ingredients together, it starts like that. Obviously, then the other cast extraordinary.
I'm having that fight.
Excuse me, this is a supermarket. You two need to get a room.
Tired of all the sunshine and good weather? Looking for a real American vacation? Visit the shining jewel in the Rust Belt crown, Casa City. It's a real man's vacation. The pride of a nation is in Casa City. It's steel, ice, and poverty. Spend a romantic evening in the beauty of the nighttime river glow at the flaming river. Watch real men who make things lose their jobs and fight on our special Closing the Mill guided tour. Come see what we're really made of. This is real America. Drunk, proud, unemployed, and angry. Hear the eagle roar. In Casa City, this is what the heartland is all about.
And I will tell you also...
You're good, but let's be honest, you're not perfect. And that's not enough. We strive to be number one in everything. Sports, politics,
economics, homelessness, degeneracy. Los Santos is the home of beauty and glamour for the whole world. Live up to society's expectations, play your part. Your body is a work of art. Don't leave it half-finished. It's time for your creative plastic surgery. We'll make your face as tight as a drum. We'll suck fat out of your body with an industrial pump. Increase your confidence with fake breasts. Sure, people know what you're all about. More adventurous, why not try an extra nose or 3 breasts? You know how much men like breasts. Can you imagine how wild they'll go for others?
My wife was complaining that she did all the work. Carried the baby for 9 months,